Randy Robison at Life Today TV with my special guest, Angie Smith, author of the book, What Women Fear. Thank you for being with us for a few minutes. What do women fear?
Lots, apparently.
Evidently, you wrote a whole book about it.
I'm in good company.
Was there like 40 chapters or something?
Is it like, yeah, I probably could have written as many as I could come up with. There are a lot of fears.
Now, you wrote this, a lot of it out of your own experience.
I did.
I mean, you've got a dramatic story that you've told on Life Today. You covered some of that on the show. But kind of give me some of the feel for the whole fear thing in women and how big that is to them.
Yeah. Well, for me, it started out when I was really young, when I was only like 4 or 5 years old, just struggling with intense anxiety and had started developing ulcers. And
why does a 5-year-old? Did you have some abusive?
No, I had nothing. I mean, people always ask, was there something that precipitated it? Was there some kind of, traumatic event that happened? And there really wasn't. There was nothing. We have a history of that in my family. There's definitely a genetic predisposition to it. My mother and lots of people on my mother's side have struggled with it. But there really wasn't an event that brought it out. I think it was just sort of the way that I was wired, is that I was always kind of overanalyzing situations that I was in and was a bright kid. So I feel like I was reading more into certain things than I should have been. But yeah, young for that.
So what do you deal with in the book?
Well, several of the chapters have to do with fears that I don't think you would see as normal, like boogity boogity in the middle of the night kind of fears. Because I think when we say fear, a lot of time what we think of is what we're afraid of, these terrors. And some of these are like, fear of abandonment or betrayal or fear of failure. Those kinds of things that I think a lot of people have picked up the book thinking that it might not be something they could relate to, and they found a chapter that they would really say that they do. I think all of us deal with, at least 40 of those, 39 out of the 40 fears.
You got lots of phobia, little names for different things, the different phobias and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a lot of little quirky,
Are there any good fears? There's
one that I could find that I thought was a really powerful chapter just for me personally to get more into the Word and study. It isn't really a fear the way that we think of it, but it's just the fear of God in the sense that we have this holy awe and this reverence for God. And just really the fact that it's not something to be scared of. It isn't that kind of fear, although we should be afraid. I mean, if we're not trembling before God, then there's a problem. But in a holy recognition of who He is. And so for me, I think writing that chapter and really going through Scripture and studying it just gave me a great sense of that awe that even, you read through the Old Testament and you're like, this is the same God that we're serving.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What good comes from the fear of God? I mean, why is that good?
Well, first of all, because I think we're supposed to. I mean, I think we're supposed to fear God. I think that if we were walking around lackadaisical like it was up to us and we didn't have any other higher standard, that would be a pretty scary world. And so I feel like we are called to fear Him and to reverence Him in the sense that we want to be obedient to Him and we want to always be doing the best we can to represent His name while we're here. But for me, there's security in that too. I mean, it's just a recognition that He is the highest and that there's nothing that I can do in my world. There's nothing that can happen that will trump Him. And for me, there's so much safety in that. I see that with my kids all the time as a parent, that they're pushing boundaries all the time, but it isn't because they want to break through. It's because they want to know how strong the fortress is. And I felt that when I was writing that chapter.
My dad said something on the show. He said that your book tells women how to overcome the fears. Is that 100% accurate?
Is your dad watching right now?
He tends to watch all my stuff. No, I don't know. Probably not.
I was actually when we were working on the subtitle of the book and working through some of the chapters, I was really careful about trying not to use words like that, only because I feel like it's not something, I wish I could say that I had gotten to the end of the book and it was like, I've overcome it, but I understand what he was saying, and I think the goal is recognizing who God is in those fears. But as much as I'd love to sell books, I don't think anyone's going to get through it and say they'll never deal with it again. But certainly working through it.
Fear management, is that what it?
That should have been my subtitle. Yeah.
But if someone's struggling with the fear right now, they're watching, they're going, maybe she has the answer. I mean, what are you going to tell them how to do? How to get rid of it? How to deal with it? How to live with it? How to?
I think possibly all of the above. Okay. I think it's different for each person. For me, it was recognizing that there were characters in the Bible that I could see some of my own fear behavior in, and looking at the way that they interacted with God and the way that God interacted with them, and primarily just knowing I'm not alone, and it doesn't make me a bad Christian because I struggle with these things. And so part of it is just not feeling like you're alone. And then also working through, definitely there are some strategies in there for coping. But also I just think it's so important as Christians that we talk about things like this and that it's not something that we feel ashamed of. Certainly God doesn't want us to be, so bound up in our fears that we're not living life. But I think it's unrealistic to say that as believers, we're never going to struggle with any type of fear. And the Bible doesn't tell us that. So
But you're saying God's going to be with us through the fear?
that's it. Yeah.
God's going to use us
Yeah.
with the fear even?
Yeah. And I speak through experience when I say that. So it's certainly not glibly that I do.
Yeah, great. What's the website for the book or for yourself?
For my website, it's angiesmithonline.com.
Very good. Check it out. Check out her book and be sure to watch Angie when she joins us on Life Today at lifetoday.org.